I'm Pat from the Two Pats in a Podcast. Today we're going to talk about this digital camera. This came out in 2002 and I've owned it for 15 years now. And we're going to look at what I thought was cool about it, how it shoots, and whether it could still do the job. So what I thought was cool about this camera was it had 4 megapixels, which was a big deal at the time, and it was relatively cheap. And by relatively cheap was, for a 4 megapixel camera, it was actually just under $1,000. Yes, it was pretty crazy that this plasticky thing cost $1,000. But what drew me to this was, even though it was a point and shoot, it actually had one really cool feature, which was you could actually adjust the shutter speed, and it could do a long exposure up to 16 seconds, which was pretty impressive. So how does it shoot? Well, basically you just toggle this and it flips open the lens cover, and within 3 seconds, which is pretty quick for a camera at the time, you could start shooting. So it does have live view on its really large 1.5-inch screen, but because the battery life is pretty horrible, what I used to do was I used to use the optical viewfinder. So it had like a little rangefinder window. So as you zoomed, it would actually adjust the frame within that little viewfinder. So you just put your eye up to that, wait for the focus, and then shoot. And then you wait a few seconds for it to go into the compact flash card where it stores its pictures. So can it still do the job today? Well, as you can see, the camera still works. And the way that it can do that is that it actually runs off your run-of-the-mill AA batteries. So that was actually part of the decision why I bought this camera, was because then I didn't have to be worrying about proprietary batteries and having to then source them later on. So yeah, thanks to those AA batteries, this camera still works until now. And the only thing that it can't do is really keep up with things like autofocus and live view and all the other features that new cameras today offer, and even smartphones offer nowadays. But as far as stills are concerned, this one still does a really good job. And because of that ability to set the shutter speed, well, longer shutter speeds, ironically, this little point and shoot camera actually does its best work at night, when you could actually just put it on a tripod, set the exposure to a long time, and let it do its thing. Because even though it only has a small 2x zoom, it doesn't actually have any kind of image stabilization, which means that if it has to go to a fairly slow shutter speed and you're hand holding it, then most of your pictures are going to come out blurry. But other than that, apart from the low megapixels and the slow autofocus, it still takes pictures fine to this day. So this is the first episode in our digital camera throwback series. Hopefully we'll be doing more of these. So let me know in the comments below, do you own one of these DX cameras? This one's a DX4900. Do you have any of the other ones? Or what other camera did you have that was 15 years old, and is it still working? So drop a comment below and subscribe, like, share with your friends, and we'll see you next time. Bye.